So guys, we were just discussing how the 1% works, how you get the same amount of, quality out of it. It's Nordstrom's quality at, Walmart prices, I guess we could say. But in some ways, you actually end up in a position where you're making more money. You have a strategy by which you are driving more buyers to these houses and why that's so important to you and the growth of your business. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, for us, it's about giving such a high level of service that our business continues to build. Whenever you have great experience and you also get a great price, the one thing you want to do is share that. You want to give that reference. You want to give the referral. And our business is basically becoming a referral-based business. Marketing is done differently in the industry now, and referrals play a big part of it. So majority of our sellers are also buyers. So that in turn is where we also make up some of the difference in the profit for the brokers. But the referrals that these sellers then turn around and give out to their neighbors and to friends who want to eventually sell a home and buy a home as well just multiplies the capacity of our business so much quicker.
Sure. Well, and I think that's something, a lot of people maybe don't always grasp is if you sell a house and buy a house for somebody, you're looking at and for most brokers, you're looking at paying them 6%. If you're looking at $500,000 to, $600,000 houses, you're at like $30,000 for, in this market, what could amount to 2 months of work. But what you're saying is essentially you can sell the house for less expensive because for the most part, you're going to be working with them to buy the house and you're able to profit pool both of those together.
Right, exactly. A lot of our sellers become buyers, and in terms of our business model, that's very profitable for us as a brokerage, and especially for the brokers who work for us. Mm-hmm. And I will say one thing about when you say 6% versus 4%, or how we do get those questions. How do you do this for 4%? And the first thing I'll always say is 4% isn't cheap.
Right.
On a $600,000 home, that's still $24,000 to sell your house.
Right.
So I think there's some perspective there that I always offer sellers that this isn't cheap.
Right.
It's still a lot of money.
It's not $500.
Right. Exactly.
And that's an interesting way to look at it. Now, when you talk about the referral piece, but you guys are also trying to drive a lot of buyers through these houses because that's how you also accumulate new clients or new customers. So when you guys talk about driving and marketing a home to get the most amount of buyers, that's an integral part of what you're doing, is it not?
Absolutely. I mean, you should expect every seller, every consumer selling a home should expect that their real estate broker is not just relying on company marketing and our syndication to, that a buyer magically appears. There's still that element out there of where are you going to find a buyer over and beyond just waiting for another real estate broker to either bring a buyer or to call you from Zillow or something like that. That's where training comes in, mm-hmm. and that's where when we talk about having full service brokers is teaching that piece, and that is social networking. And that is, and even for me as a kind of an old school guy, this is something I've had to learn, and it is a huge piece, and is becoming a big Facebook. Yes, Twitter,
the internet.
And, yes, the internet machine.
That's right.
Right, and really that's a huge piece, and that in terms of bringing buyers, in that networking and social networking is a major piece. And it's then that essentially is going out and telling people what you do and here's what I have. Do you know of someone else? And maybe that I don't mean to trivialize it, but it does work. And that's that piece where, someone is priced out of a market in Bellevue or Issaquah or whatever it is, and you have someone on Facebook's talking about a house that they're listing in wherever it is, Snoqualmie Ridge or something, and you're going to get an extra 300 square feet and a bigger lot, newer house, and someone who just really hadn't thought about that, but Facebook, you put it out there, and it's been a strategy that's really been effective for us in finding buyers.
What about the actual face-to-face marketing with new buyers? You guys must work with a lot of buyers, and you have a lot of listings, so they kind of come hand in hand. What's your strategy to help people go buy a home more than outside of I guess, maybe what traditional is
Well,
done.
one of the things, too, that we really teach our brokers to do is to become a specialist in an area. Because what really works with our business model is being seen and having a presence in one neighborhood and being seen as a specialist in a neighborhood. And from doing that, not only do you gain market share with sellers, but now you also have your name around the neighborhood and you get a lot of sign calls from buyers. So we come into contact with a lot more buyers than we would if we just had one listing in a neighborhood. For instance, if I have five signs up in the neighborhood that I specialize in Snoqualmie Ridge, and I usually get, a couple of sign calls per listing, well, that's an extra 10 buyers that I might not have met had I not had all those listings. So I'm automatically coming into contact with more buyers than your average seller in the neighborhood who only does one or two listings in a particular neighborhood in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so that puts us in more contact with buyers in that way. But we also then are seen as the neighborhood specialist. So people will automatically call us because they want to talk to us about schools, or they want to talk to us just to kind of about general things in a neighborhood. And it puts us kind of in that position to have the buyers now to take into those neighborhoods because we specialize in those. So that's one of the things that we teach our agents to do, is how to go in and be a specialist in a neighborhood, because then you're just going to get more listings, but at the same time, you're going to get the buyers too.
Explain what a specialist in a neighborhood needs to know.
You need to know everything about the neighborhood, everything from the comps, the different builders, therefore the different prices per square foot that a home sells for, the different schools. Every neighborhood, it can sometimes seem as if an obvious thing because you drive by a school, get to a home, that's maybe where the children would go to school at. Not the case. One neighborhood could feed to 4 different elementary schools. And so in knowing the ins and outs of those and just kind of knowing maybe the dynamics of a community and kind of what people really love about a community and what makes them stay or want to leave those neighborhoods. So I think just kind of whether you live there or you just do a lot of business there because you have friends and family maybe that live in there and you kind of get to know the feel of it.
Mm-hmm. So as people start to become or are specialists in a neighborhood, it seems that it starts to divide the competition of people you should work with. I remember when I used to teach first-time homebuyer classes, somebody said to me, why do you need to work with a neighborhood specialist? Because you need to know which way the wind blows and where the dump is. Because if you don't know, you have no idea the smell that's coming your way.
Yeah.
And, if the wind's blowing the wrong way on the day you go see that house and your specialist doesn't know where the dump is, that's a big problem. Like, up in bridle trails, right? I mean, there's a big dump there.
Yeah.
And if you're on the wrong side of that, you might not be able to see it. And then wind blows and man, you're like, uh-oh, this is not the right place to be.
Right.
There you go. That's your new.
That's not a call you want.
Why you need a neighborhood specialist, right? Nobody told
Did
us
you know
to
there's a
smell
dump
like
here?
this. Yeah,
I wasn't aware of that.
Bridget Franklin and Darin Robertson joined me, guys. We have about just a couple minutes left. But as you start to build your own business, you guys obviously had a reason to do this. I've been talking a lot about what it takes to kind of take that first step into something, whether your first step into buying a house, your first step into going in to get a financial plan, your first step into maybe a new career or a new venture. Now, you guys, this is obviously not your first step in real estate, but it is both your first company you guys have owned. What propelled you to do this, and how has it felt, and what do you feel like the future holds?
Well, I just wanted to spend more time with Bridget, so
Yeah.
that was my goal.
I saw you scooting closer throughout this entire last 20 minutes.
So, it's recognizing. I think in any industry, you're in an industry for a long time, you get to know it, and it's recognizing shifts. And I do see, I guess, a metamorphosis in real estate, and seeing that commissions are coming down. And prices have gone up. A 6% commission was paid, in 1995 on a $200,000 house. That same $200,000 house is now $500,000. Mm-hmm. And so, really, it is, to answer your question, is seeing that there is that shift, and I want to be at the front end of that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, that sellers they don't want to pay the extra, whatever it is, $10,000, but they do want that person and that advisor with them.
Yeah, because it's a slightly different model than other people have taken, where it's been like 4%, no service, just go do it.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
And we also had just kind of our own feel and look that we wanted to put behind.
You wanted to spend more time with Darin.
Correct.
Thank you, Ben.
Yes. Yeah. But looking for our own our own ideas and our own feel that we wanted to put our touch on. And we kind of started talking about what a company would look like if we were to create it and how it would look. And when you talk about taking those first steps, I think one that got really the whole thing rolling for us was we hired an amazing graphic designer, gave her kind of our vision and our look and the name of the company, and she created our logo. And from there, we saw that this is really, where we wanted to go, and it just started happening from there. The first step was really getting that name and the logo together, and everything else just kind of started happening from there for us.